Back to this question about, a mortgage against a property. Let's just take an example. Let's just say, there was I'm just going to round it up to a small number. There's a $500,000 home. It's got a $300,000 mortgage against it. And there's one heir, and he's going to come to town, and he's going to inherit this house. And he has plans. He wants to keep the house. He wants to, use it as a rental, or maybe use it as his own second home or whatever. But can he just, through the probate process, what involvement do we have to give the mortgage company? What say do they have? Are they automatically just going to transfer that loan over to this kid, or how does that mortgage get tangled up in the probate process?
I mean, my experience, the majority of time, if not almost all of the time, the lender is not going to allow that person that's taking on the property through that probate administration, that inheritance, they're not going to allow them to assume the loan.
And there's a reason for that. That loan may be at 2.5% interest done, 5 years ago. Now that lender has a chance to charge 7% interest. Right. They're going to want to call that loan.
Correct. And unfortunately, even though there are times when you want to take on that loan that the decedent had, the reality is that if there are any issues, you're not going to have an opportunity to communicate with the lender, because they're not going to see you as a person of authority, even though you might be named as an executor in a will. And so there are formalities that come into play that way. Beyond that, when it comes to real property as a whole, it's really important that you're holding title in a proper way, that you're utilizing it in the proper vehicle. So for example, if it's going to be a rental property versus your primary residence, these are the things that you want to get ahead of, because when that time comes that you might want to sell the property or rent it out to a third party, if you don't have all your ducks in a row, you might end up finding yourself exposed to liability that you'd never dreamed of.
And don't most, I know, Donnie, you're a real estate lawyer as well as a probate lawyer, but don't most of these loan documents have a clause in there that you're supposed to notify the lender when somebody's deceased, and it does trigger that entire loan?
The loan documents as a whole tend to have some reporting requirement to the lender, whether you're somebody that's inheriting through a probate, even a trust administration. The reality is that again, that lender, they have the ability to call the loan. Yeah. And if they call the loan and you don't have the ability to refinance it, you might end up finding yourself in a situation where you have to sell the property, or even forced to have the property sold, and then you get what's left.
Yeah, and a forced sale never sounds like you're going to get a very good price, right? That's going to be a...
Usually you're taking a haircut in a situation like that.
And assuming the guy that's going to inherit it, let's just say that they either have a low-paying job or no job, and they're not going to qualify for the mortgage. You don't really have the choice. Am I going to keep this home? If you can't refinance it, you don't have that choice.
Yeah, and when you're talking about the party that now has title to the house, if they want to go out there and try to create this balance sheet, there are some issues that could come up unless you're getting everything cleaned up off the top. Yeah. And it's it's a little bit of a tricky process, but it's not always as easy as just getting title.
Yeah, it amazes me how many people think that they can just keep paying the loan and just don't even let the mortgage company know.
Yeah, sometimes they find out.
What about title issues? I mean, let's just suppose this property is one of these things that's been passed down kind of from generation to generation, and is a farm, has been in the family for whatever, and the probate process in and of itself, it just passes the title, however it exists, to the next person. It doesn't clean up any of these title issues. So what do you recommend if a property's been around for a long period of time and there could be some title issues?
I mean, I think it's important to get a title report. You want to be able to see, what the history is of the property. You want to make sure that there aren't any current liens or encumbrances, clouds on the title that maybe you weren't aware of. And at the end of the day, there are sometimes other owners of these properties that you don't even realize. Because when you do these transfers through these administrations, a lot of times it's by quitclaim deed, which is just giving you all the right interest and title that the grantor has. Well, if the grantor didn't actually have 100% and they had some fraction of 100% or something less than 100%, I should say, pretty soon you find yourself co-owning property with someone and you never even knew that was the reality.
Well, thanks for your help on that today.